Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking the time out of your very busy days here to join us. So, as usual, we're just going to give it maybe another 30 seconds or so to let just the 201, let the last minute folks just jump in here. We'll get going in no time.
Mhm. And we understand it's a very busy day with Thanksgiving in the United States coming. So, a lot of people traveling or, last minute preparation. And then for Canada, if anyone hasn't seen the shirt that James is wearing, well, it's about to be kickoff time for the first group stage match for Canada in almost 36 years. Yeah.
years. Yeah. I know because I was born the year the last time they were in this in this tournament. So I'm a good omen, and so I figured the sweater today would be a really good way to go about it. One save for Canada in the books. All right, folks. So I think with that being said, and just to be mindful of everyone's time, we will get going. Last quick shout out for Team Canada in the World Cup here, and really the reason we're all here today. Is to talk about the Microsoft Partner Commercial Incentives. So as hopefully many of you know, if you don't, you will soon get to know him. Absolutely, Mr. Alex Laflamme is the incentives and program manager here at Sherweb. So for all things that concern Microsoft and its various programs, Alex is the go-to guy. I am the other fellow on the screen here. So my name is James, primarily on the collaboration side of things, including modern work. So this is where hopefully I'll get to interact with you going forward, right? If we haven't already. So really quick in terms of what we're going to look at for today. So we'll do our quick kind of recap of who is Sherweb. So for anyone who's joining for the first time or who's seeing this at a later date, just to give a little background on who we are and why many partners find us to be great business partners for their businesses. And then from there, we'll dive into the incentives, whether it be through the CSP Indirect, and then looking at the commerce incentives coming up, and then a Q&A as well. So the quick housekeeping along with this here would be this will absolutely be recorded, so you'll be able to refer back to this at a later date. There is a Q&A in the chat of the platform here. Please feel free to leverage that. We'll be keeping an eye on it throughout. If there's anything that's topical kind of in the moment, we'll try and jump on it live when you send it through. Otherwise, we'll most likely just defer to the end and try to answer as much as possible. For whatever we don't get to cover during this meeting today in terms of Q&A, do rest assured we will be following up and reaching out normally within the next 7 to 14 days. Although I'd say it's going to be much closer to the 2 to 7 day range, but shortly thereafter is where I'm headed there.
Yep. And one more thing, because that's a common question that we get, the deck will be available as well to download. So if you're not, I would encourage partners just to listen to this, audio, visually, but don't take notes right now or anything. You will have the recording to watch again, and you will have the deck to use either to present, internally to your own teams or for future reference.
Absolutely. So a really quick couple minutes as to who is Sherweb and why do we have the privilege of getting to speak to you on this platform today. So we are really your all-in-one cloud partner. So we offer a variety of solutions, all things IT, all things hosted, to enable both your individual business, as well as potentially for your customers' businesses, if you're in the IT resale space. My good friend here uses an analogy that I'll steal openly here. We refer to ourselves as kind of the cloud supermarket, if you will. So while going to a butcher and while going to the roadside fruit vendors, these are all things that are available, and we can all go and buy anything from anywhere. But having the convenience of having it all in one place with a curated product portfolio will save you time. It'll lead to better experiences in terms of having the right products. And not to mention all the learning that we get to do through our channels, so all the feedback that you as our partners provide, well, we can then get to share this with our greater network. So kind of we've learned a lot of it in the really good ways, and every now and then in the less favorable side less favorable side of things. So we'll be able to help you avoid some of those or any types of
Mm.
pitfalls that may be in your way.
Yep, and just consider, when you went shopping for your Thanksgiving meal, your feast that you're going to have, did you go to 17 different stores, one ingredient each store, or did you go to the supermarket to get everything in one place, one invoice, any issues, you go to that same single point of contact? Well, that's what we want to bring to our partners, a lot of simplicity, easier to work with, having that same point of contact for all the different services that you may be using. But
Exactly.
yeah, with that being said, thank you so much, James. That was a great intro. For today, as mentioned, we're going to try to keep it as simple as possible. There's lots and lots of different incentives programs going on out there. If you're looking for information related to Azure, that's going to be in early December. We're going to have a webinar devoted to the Azure incentives. And if you are looking for a transition from the legacy licenses to the NCE platform to have a roadmap, a plan, help on that, there is another webinar on that. And I believe that's next week that we're hosting that one, the NC update on it. So we're trying to make it more digestible, contrary to the type of meal that you're going to partake in tomorrow. So this, you will not need to loosen your belt after this call. It should be nice and easy. So the
Maybe.
first.
Oh, sorry. Just a last quick point. Maybe going back to the partner program, as we're kind of it not that it all necessarily blends, but there's definitely some blurred lines there. We did have some previous webinars that we had done, so you can find those on YouTube or via some of our social networks. That'll really go into detail as to what's changing, how to manage it, as Alex said, that kind of planning,
Mhm.
whether that be from your partner profile or from a license perspective. Again, we're just looking to provide value and just make it all a little bit easier.
Yep. And for this first part, the first section that we're going to look at is the CSP Indirect Reseller Program. So this is the program that is for the legacy license-based subscriptions. So we're looking at M365 and Dynamics 365 on the legacy platform. So those would be licenses that have not been moved to NCE yet. And the new program structure for CSP Indirect Reseller is running from the 1st of October, so it has already started. But this one is only running until December 31st. So we're talking about the end of an era, if you will. I've been talking about the CSP Indirect Reseller program for about 4 years now. So, it's a little bit emotional to come to the last time I'm going to be showing this slide. It hasn't changed much, because it's only running for 3 months. It's going to be exactly the same type of structure that there was before. And again, this is going to be available to you to look and take notes later. But we wanted to just talk about some insights and some highlights from it. So as far as the rates are concerned for CSP and direct reseller, there's absolutely no change from FY22 to FY23. So these last 3 months could be considered an extension of the last year's incentive program. So whatever you are getting from CSP and direct reseller on a monthly basis over the last year, you should continue to get for these last 3 months. Um, cannot stress this enough. This program ends on December 31st. So this means that the last payment that you will receive regarding incentives on this should be in March. And when I'm talking about receiving this, it's going to be receiving in your bank account. There's always a 3-month delay. So you will not get other incentives coming from this program, which is why we do strongly encourage you to move your licensing to the NCE platform so that there is no gap in your backend incentives and cashbacks from Microsoft.
And a quick side note there, this is
Mhm.
something that we will cover a little bit more in detail next week, as Alex
Yep.
mentioned. So we'll be looking at how to convert some of those licenses, potentially even some promotions that may be available to you as partners at Microsoft to help with this kind of transition. Again, to keep the incentives and to make sure you're leveraging the program to its utmost.
That's a great point as well. For another insight that we have is that for the CSP and direct reseller program, being a solutions partner will not get you into this program for the last few days that is active. So it's only going to be partners that had been either silver or gold partners in the prior years that will be able to benefit from this program for, again, the last month and a half that it's going to exist. The co-op funds will still apply, exactly the same structure as before, but because we're looking at a very short term, you're likely, even if you were liable for co-op funds activities before, there's a decent chance that this time around it's just going to be a big lump sum payment for you at some point in January or February from Microsoft, which is always great after the holidays to get a little bit of a windfall payment instead of a credit card bill that you hadn't expected. The nonprofit accelerator that was available last year has been discontinued. This also has to do with all of the transition from legacy to NCE, and any other incentive on the legacy platform that was available for licenses that are not available on NCE yet, you will still continue to receive those. So if you are looking for a specific SKU, a specific add-on, and it's not yet available on NCE, rest assured, you'll still get those kickbacks, even if it's all the way until, March or April of next year. But this should be a very, fringe case, exception to the rule for the great majority of us. After December, no more incentives on the old program. And it's not that much more complicated than that for that first section. So it really is a continuation of the old program, the rates from last year, FY22, but it will end at the end of this year. So once again, check out the webinar we're going to have for you next week if you don't already have a strategy to transition to NCE from the legacy licenses. Speaking of NCE, the next part is for the Microsoft Commerce incentives. So the incentives for, again, the license-based subscriptions on the NCE platform. So we're looking at M365 and Dynamics 365 mainly. So in this case, it's a very similar type of approach as from the other programs. So we have the same 4% core incentive, same type of accelerators that were present, before for specific products. I'm mainly thinking about M365 Business Premium, E3, and E5 that give you an additional 5%. And Business Premium gives you an additional 5% if you're in the United States. So a little Thanksgiving present for those. It does have all of the same requirements that were there before on the CSP Indirect Reseller, meaning that you must have a $25,000 trailing 12-month revenue to be able to start earning on this program. And for this year only, it is going to accept either any of the 6 solution designations or any of the 9 competencies that were available before. So if you're looking on the left side of the screen where you have the big button that says "or," it's probably going to be the most text that you're going to see in the eligibility section in your life, right? As of next year, it's only going to be solutions partner that are going to be accepted. But this year is special. We have that grandfather clause for everyone that was a silver or gold partner prior. So those will be accepted for now. This program runs all the way until September of next year. So this one is the full year, just like in years past, the CSP Indirect Reseller program. The M365, I don't know if you noticed, but I did change slide. The Dynamics 365 also follows exactly that same format. The only difference really is the core incentive, which is, again, was already present under CSP Indirect Reseller. So instead of being 4%, it's 4.75. So that should follow everything that you've been used to on the indirect reseller program, but for NCE type licenses. There are going to be a little bit of differences. So the first one is that the customer ad accelerator on M365 has been improved, has been bonified. So it's now 15% extra incentive whenever you have a customer that starts spending money on either the legacy or like probably the NCE platform for the first time in the last 12 months. Okay, so this is revenue related to Microsoft and not to Sherweb or to the partner. So if this is a transfer, even though it's a new customer to you and to Sherweb, in Microsoft's eyes, this was already an existing customer, so they will not apply this accelerator. But for everybody else, that's a brand new. So coming from G Suite, coming from on-prem, coming from any other type of email client, this is going to be a great year to add those customers because of that accelerator. There's no um, extra steps to enroll into this program. It's part of the Microsoft Commerce Incentive. So as long as you have a green check mark under Microsoft Commerce Incentive for your market, all of these different levers and accelerators will apply to you. Similar concept on Dynamics 365. There is a customer ad accelerator that's been reintroduced for NCE. This time around, they've made it actually simple. So if any of you remember last year, me trying to explain the Dynamics 365 customer ad and not look like someone, on the board with all the strings and, how everything worked. This one is really about if the customer has no business applications revenue in the last 12 months and the customer starts to have business applications revenue, and this includes any of the Dynamics 365, Power Platform, Business Central, and so forth, you will get an extra 20% each month on whatever they spend. So it's a very nice little accelerator. Of course, I can already hear some of the Dynamics 365 partners saying, you find those new customers. We already have, customers that have been trying to implement for years now. I understand, I agree, but if it's going to be a nice little cherry on top of those implementation progress you have for those customers that didn't have any revenue in the past year. Some insights for this. The core rates on the M365 side have returned to 4% instead of the 5% that was available for a very short time in 2022. So if you were one of the early adopters on NCE and you were getting those incentives and you haven't, added or changed anything for your customers, you will see a slight drop in the core incentive rates because, again, it does match the one that was on the legacy platform. As mentioned, this is the only year where silver partners under the old program, as well as solutions partner under the new program, will be eligible for the Microsoft Commerce Incentive. So it's pretty much like casting a wide net of eligibility for partners. But do start. I know I've spoken with hundreds of partners already to establish their strategies on how to attain a solutions partner designation by October of next year. But if you haven't done so already, as James mentioned, we did have a series of webinar over the summer and early fall on these changes and what to do and how to plan. If you're a Sherweb partner, contact your account manager so that we can set up a one-on-one consultation and establish your specific roadmap as a partner. Because it does vary a little bit. It does vary on your revenue, your staff, and all that. So we don't want to give a one-size-fits-all. Everybody does this. It really is a tailored approach based on your business and your goals.
And again, maybe just jumping back to the beginning of the presentation, we were kind of just saying who Sherweb is. Again, this is something that we do take great pride in. There's definitely a lot of scale in what we do, so a lot of it does hit, let's say, 80% of our base as a rule. But taking that time to dive into what it's important for you, what's important for your customer, as per me, is really what sets us apart. It's why I personally was so eager to join the team 4 or 5 years ago now. So again, it's something that we live, something that we love doing. Those nuances, Alex, if you listen to him go, if you had a chance to work with him, we live in the nuance and we understand and we appreciate it. So again, there's no one size fits all. Some of this may be applicable, some may not. But again, we can chat about it. And again, us helping you put your next step and making it count is really something that we're just lucky to get to do.
Exactly. If you read the Microsoft documentation and you find it very clear and you have no questions, well, first, we want to hire you. And second, it's I have a bridge to sell for you, because it's very difficult, and we usually have to go back to Microsoft and ask, for clarifications on certain things. Sometimes, as a lot of with announcements, they do kind of reverse certain decisions, and sometimes they push deadlines and all of that. So we really try to be, as much of a guiding light, in the foggy world of Microsoft to us partners as much as possible. And the Microsoft partnership is one of the most, under leveraged program out there. And whenever we do have those consultations with partner, I haven't had, I don't have anyone in recent memory, at least, that, did not find some value, at least, one part. Oh, I didn't know I could do this. Oh, wow, this is a better way to do that. Oh, wow, I get these free licenses, these free services, these all of these things. So if you haven't reached out to us yet to have that consultation, please do so. It really is for your benefit. But just to jump back on this, I mean, there's not much left. Again, we're really trying to make it as simple as possible. So as mentioned, the customer ad accelerators have been improved this year. So when you find true new customers to Microsoft, and a true new customer must have had $0 in Microsoft revenue at least for the last 12 months. So it could be someone that, during early times in the pandemic, they kind of shuttered, a lot of their operations and, weren't buying anything, but now they're, coming back up, and that would count as a new customer.
Maybe another quick value add, as we like to do here. There is also a program from Microsoft called SMB Workshops. This is a great new customer acquisition play that they developed. There's potentially some incentives in it for you as partners as well. This is essentially really quickly giving uh, just a high level explanation, but giving a 90-minute presentation around whether it be Windows 365 or Business Premium as some examples. But doing something like this, we could help to fund that. So that's between Microsoft and Sherweb. We can help put this in motion for you. And again, the real goal there is to help acquire. So to
Mhm.
further incentivize to offset your costs in terms of this new customer acquisition. Again, just other ways that between Microsoft and ourselves, we're always looking to just do a little one up and be the win in your sales.
Yeah, we'll always try to match your effort. If we see a partner that's willing to, put in time and effort, we will want to put in time and effort ourselves, because that's our approach. We want to be your business partner. We love to see partners succeed, and they've been growing with us for many years. I mean, James and I have been with Sherweb for quite some time now, so we do feel that the relationships we've developed with our partners, are long standing, and we kind of
Special,
see
yeah.
go through different phases of growth and all that. So it is something that we cherish, and anyone else that wants to join our network, there's plenty of space for everyone. Last little bit of insight, which does come with an action item for most of our partners. The co-op funds have been reintroduced for the Microsoft Commerce Incentive Program. They were fully absent last year. What this means is that if you haven't done so already, you must go into your partner center in the incentive section and add the payment profile for the co-op funds for the Microsoft Commerce incentives. So what that means is that you're going to go into the incentive section. You're going to see Microsoft Commerce incentive with a little yellow exclamation point saying action required. You're going to click on that. You're going to select the same payment profile and same currency as you did for everything else. It takes a whole of 30 seconds if the partner center is at normal speed. So it's very, very fast, and it will ensure that you do not have any gaps in payment, because if you do not update this part, they will withhold the payments. You won't lose that money unless you wait, for more than 6 months to update that. But it's always, especially at this time of the year, it's always good to make sure that you're getting all of your payments on time from Microsoft. So if you have any issues, or to try to get that done, again, if you're a Sherweb partner, contact your account manager. We can help you set that up. But otherwise, if you're not a Sherweb partner, contact us. We want to help you as well.
Get set up. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's not more complicated than that for this first section. Again, it's really is the equivalent of one of these 7 courses that most of you will eat tomorrow, just a light snack. These are the incentives on M365 Dynamics 365. We're going to have other sessions to talk about Azure and to talk about the NCE transitions. But for today, that was pretty much it. Did we get any questions in the chat, or are we good to go see how Canada is faring on the world stage?
Spoiler, it's 0-0. No, it's been pretty light in terms of questions. So as maybe some of my teachers would have said, it's either that was a really great explanation or everyone's just watching the game. So it's potentially one of the two. But yeah, as Alex mentioned, there, do reach out if there is anything. If anything comes up, maybe I'll stretch a sentence as I can do like no other here for a minute or so, and let anyone finish typing if there is. And then from there, we could presumably part ways for the moment. There will be the webinars we mentioned next week on NCE. So just some updates and some ways that we can help you to leverage and really ensure your incentives are here to stay, or that you're able to leverage them next year. And then even in 2 or 3 weeks now, I'll say, around the 8th or the 6th, I'll get that confirmed. There is another Sherweb webinar, and here we will be looking at some of the programs and resources available to partners through Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be Alex, myself, and one of our good friends from Microsoft will be presenting that. Just highlighting some of the best tools, in my opinion, that an IT vendor can offer. And like Alex mentioned earlier, things that are under leveraged, things that I learned about maybe in the last year or so myself, and that many partners I've spoken to are just like, wow, I didn't know this was a thing. So we're just going to try and clarify and highlight some of that. More tools in your toolkits.
Yep. And as always, do check out our knowledge network to be always in the know of the upcoming events and to be able to quickly view the past events as well, because everything is recorded, everything's available. And if you are looking for some of the decks or some of the presentations and they're not, on the website, again, contact your account manager and we'll be able to provide those to you. So otherwise, thank you again, everyone, for showing up. If I hadn't to do this presentation, I probably would not have been here. I would have been glued to my screen watching the game. So I can understand if anyone is just partially attentive to this. But otherwise, for our American friends, I wish you all a great Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.
Please take the time to see your family, call your family. Half my family is in the United States, so I will be definitely calling my parents tomorrow afternoon to wish them a good time and a great meal, that I'm not going to get to enjoy.
You're welcome by our place, Alex. There, come on down.
So,
Awesome.
so yeah,
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone so much again, like Alex said, for your time. On behalf of Sherweb, James, and Alex, wishing you a happy turkey weekend, and we'll be in touch soon.